that I often heard during my time as a monk. And this story has stayed with me for a long time. And it's a story that was often told by the Buddha. So the Buddha tells this story about a person just like you and me, and this person's on a journey. And on this journey, this person comes across an obstacle. Now, their obstacle isn't a competitor, their obstacle isn't another company, their obstacle is a fast-flowing river. And this person knows that if they step foot in this river, the current is so strong that it will just take them with it. It will just take all of it with them. So the person realizes that they're going to have to build a mode of transport to get to the other side. So they decide to find some wood from close by, they lay it out, they craft a raft with 2 layers, they tie it with some rope that they find, they even build themselves an oar, and they jump on top of the raft, and they paddle with all their energy and all their strength and all their might, and they finally make it to the other side. And they think, thank God for this raft, because without this raft, I would never have been able to cross that. They feel so grateful to this raft that they strap it to their back and they say, I'm going to walk around with this raft wherever I go because this raft saved my life. The Buddha says that this is often what we do. When we overcome a challenge, we look at what helped us and then we carry that around with us. But just like us, this person comes across another challenge, another obstacle in life. And this time the obstacle isn't a fast-flowing river. It's a tall, wooded forest with trees dotted at every other step. And the person now has got the raft tied to their back and they're trying to maneuver and they're trying to squeeze through and they're trying to navigate and the raft keeps getting stuck and it keeps getting blocked and they're trying to figure out how to get through. And every step they take, they're just feeling that friction and that resistance from the trees and the raft just keeps getting broken. The Buddha says that in this moment, the person has an important decision to make. They either hold on tight to their raft and struggle to make it through, or they put their raft down and walk through freely. The Buddha says that all of us come to a similar juncture in life where we have a choice between holding on to what we know or letting it go and making space for new ideas, new mindsets, new habits. In this case, this person decided to put down the raft and walk through freely. My first question for you all today is, what is it? What is that habit? What's that mindset? What's that belief that you're holding so tight onto that it's holding you back? Right? What is it that you're holding so tight onto in your business, in your personal life, in your own life, that is holding you back? See, letting go is hard, but holding on is harder. Holding on to something is so much more complicated, and that's why we feel that friction when something's being extracted from our hands. So think about that for a second. What's a habit? What's a belief? What's a value that you've been holding too tightly? And that actually, if you were to loosen your grip, you may actually make space for some of the new habits and mindsets that we're going to share today. So I want to share with you 3 core mindsets, and the first one is what I call the conscious mindset. What I mean by that is we have to live our life intentionally and consciously. We have to live our lives choosing and designing, just like when you're designing properties or decor or whatever it may be. We know what beautiful design looks like and we know what ugly design looks like, right? Everyone's seen a home that looks ugly. Everyone's probably tried to sell a home that looks ugly, and that's hard. But the idea that when something is designed effectively, it can be really powerful. So we need to consciously design our life. So I want to share with you 5 habits that come in the form of an acronym called TIMES, TIMES. You can write that down now, TIMES. I'm going to teach you one habit based on each one. So I want to start off actually, I asked a question earlier, how many of you experience stress or anxiety? Raise your hands again if you feel that way. Can I get a roaming mic if there's one available? If there isn't, that's cool too. Hey buddy, how's it going? Nice to meet you. What's your name? Ahmed, nice to meet you. And what do you often feel stressed and anxious about? What specifically stresses you out? Targets and making money. Anyone else stressed out by that? A lot of you, you're not alone. All right, anything else?
Thank you. So, of course, you want to secure your future, you want to make money, you want to take care of your family, you want to make sure that things are okay all the time. So, you're running with non-stop. You don't know what's the next milestones. Like you're chasing a milestone that you can't see.
Absolutely.
So, of course, you're afraid all the time of lots of factors.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Give Ahmed a round of applause, everyone. Thank you for being so open. Anyone else? Who else had their hand up? Who experiences stress and anxiety? Raise your hands again. Just coming around this table. All right. Can you stand up for us? What's your name?
Luba.
Nice to meet you, Luba.
Nice to meet you.
What do you get stressed and anxious about?
Sometimes the quantity of the tasks which I put on myself, like this needs to be done, this needs to be done, and then there is hundreds of tasks, and all in the same time. So this is the biggest stress.
Okay, anyone else feel that? Raise your hands. Look around, look around. Raise your hands again for her. That's how many people are struggling with the same thing. Give her a round of applause, everyone. I'll leave this here. So, what's so interesting is that often when we experience stress and anxiety, we feel that we're alone. And as we all looked around, and as I heard from your applause, and I heard from you saying yes, every single one of you is experiencing some type of stress and anxiety. We covered a couple there, but I'm sure there's so many more. And what's really interesting about stress and anxiety, if you take a couple of these examples, you'll find a root idea. What I mean by that is the root of the problem is a pattern that you see across most stress and anxiety that we experience. And it boils down to one word: uncertainty. Uncertainty is at the root of 99% of our stress and anxiety. We're uncertain about if that deal's going to come through. We're uncertain about our futures. We're uncertain about our family's health and wellness. We're uncertain about our health and wellness. Uncertainty, when it gets into the mind, can be one of the most stressful things in the world. And so what we need to do, what these habits that I'm about to share with you, TIMES, what they do is that they give us a foundation of certainty in our day so that we're better at dealing with all the uncertainty that's going to inevitably come. If you live your life in more uncertainty flows to you, it's really hard to respond. But if you start off your day with a sense of certainty and a strong foundation, you're better at reacting. So the T stands for thankfulness or gratitude. And I know what you're thinking, thankfulness and gratitude, that sounds pretty soft. How does that actually work? Well, listen to this. Research shows that when you're having a thankful thought, you can't have an anxious thought at the same time. When you're having a grateful thought, you can't worry at the same time. Just think about that for a second. You can't actually be in both of those states at the same time. Studies show that when you're being grateful, you boost your mood. It improves your relationships. It allows you to feel more lucky. It allows you to feel more confident. You believe that people care about you. When you believe that people care about you, you feel you matter, and therefore you believe in yourself. Our sense of significance goes through the roof. When we don't feel grateful, what we're basically saying is, no one cares about me, I don't matter, and what I do doesn't matter. When you're being grateful, you're flipping that script. But for gratitude to work, it has to have 3 qualities. And those 3 qualities are that gratitude has to be expressed, it has to be specific, and it has to be personalized. I'm going to try this out actually. Do we have a volunteer? I need a volunteer from the audience. Need a volunteer? Raise your hands if you'd like to volunteer, and I'll see if we want to pick. Everyone's scared. All right, wait, let me get a better view from the stage again. 1 second, let me have a look. All right, who wants to volunteer and come on stage? Make some noise if you want to come up, because then I'm going to have to try and pick. All right, let's see. Yes, you there. Give her a round of applause. Keep it going. Thank you. Hello, what's your name?
Lynn.
Lynn, nice to meet you. All right, Lynn, do you know everyone here? Do you know some people here?
Yeah, I know my company.
Okay, where are they? Give them a shout out.
Right there. Hello, Stage Properties.
Nice. All right, so, Lynn, I need to ask you a question. Could you name for me 2 of your best friends, not family, but 2 of your best friends?
A name?
2 names.
Okay, Sarah and Renoir.
You're gonna have to say that second one again for me now.
Renoir.
Renoir.
No, Ghenwa.
Renoir.
Yeah.
Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, so Sarah and Renoir.
You can call her Ren.
Hen. Cool. All right, got it. Great. I'm doing good so far. Can you pick another name? I'm gonna call her G.
Okay.
I'm gonna call her G. Is that
Let's
right?
say Perla and Tracy. Tracy is there.
Oh, Tracy's there. So now it's Sarah and Tracy.
Yeah.
All right. I have to ask you an honest question. I know Tracy's there now. You made it kind of awkward. Who do you like more?
Sarah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, we like Sarah more. Okay, great. So, Lynn, let's say this weekend Lynn throws a party at your home or apartment? Apartment. So Lynn has an apartment, she throws a party this weekend, she invites all her friends, and of course, Sarah and Tracy are invited. Now, the day after the party, she gets a message from Tracy. Remember, we don't like Tracy. Tracy sends a message to Lynn, and Tracy's message is, "Hey Lynn, thanks so much." That's it. Classic Tracy, right? Terrible message. Does that sound like Tracy?
No.
No, come on, you gotta play with me. You gotta go. Yeah, right, yeah, okay, yes. So that's what Tracy would say. Now Sarah, who we love, sends a message to Lynn, and Sarah's message is, Lynn, I had the best time yesterday. Thank you so much for having me. Your friends are amazing, your family's beautiful, I love the games, your apartment's wonderful. Thank you, I needed that more than you know. Sound like Sarah?
Yeah.
Thank you for playing along this time. No trick questions. From Tracy's message and Sarah's message, which one makes you happier?
Sarah's.
It's obvious, right? It's obvious Sarah's makes us happier. What's really interesting though, is that not only does Sarah's message make Lynn happier, studies show that Sarah is actually happier sending that message. So when Tracy sends the message, "Thanks so much," and that's it, she doesn't feel the same level of happiness and joy and that boost in significance as Sarah does when she sends an expressive, specific, and personalized note of gratitude. Give Lynn a round of applause, everyone. You gotta go sit with Tracy now. What's really interesting about that, and I want you to try this for the next 7 days. For the next 7 days, give this a go. I promise you, it will transform the way you work. For the next 7 days, I want you to send a note of gratitude to one person personally and one person professionally every single day. 2 messages a day. It doesn't need to be a thesis, it doesn't need to be a slide deck, it can be 2 paragraphs, it can be a voice note, a video message, an email, whatever works for you. I want you to choose one person personally and one person professionally in your life every day for the next 7 days and send one note of gratitude. I can see some of you doing it right now, which is great. But how many of you are going to try that out? Will you try that out? Choose one person. I promise you what it will do is it's going to help you win a new client. Because it may be an old client that you message, that person recommends you to another person. It's going to be a family member who you've been struggling with. And all of a sudden you message them, and this is going to create some less tension in your life, giving you more mind space to focus on the things that matter. Maybe you're going to send it to a colleague who's been struggling, and they're going to feel empowered and encouraged by your words, and they're going to be able to work harder. You have no idea how gratitude can change the game. So that's thankfulness. The next one, I, stands for inspiration. Now, it's really interesting how humans function. When we're thirsty, we drink water, right? When we're hungry, we eat. That's how it works. We have an if this, then that formula in our lives. If I'm thirsty, I'll drink water. If I'm hungry, I'll eat food. If I'm tired, I'll go to sleep, right? We have certain things we do for how we feel. But if we feel stuck, if we feel uninspired, and if we feel unmotivated, we turn on Netflix. Right? It's really interesting. Like there isn't a direct plan for that. There isn't an if this then that formula. If we feel unmotivated, stuck, we feel like we don't know what's going on, we don't know if we're getting to our targets, we're feeling that stress and anxiety, we binge watch our favorite show or we try and distract ourselves. So we don't have a useful strategy for dealing with the lack of inspiration. Which is why, just as we need a healthy diet for our bodies, we need a healthy digital diet for our brains. And you might know your diet of what you put in your body, but how aware are we of our diet of our mind? If I asked you now all to look at your screen, it's a scary thing to look at. Even mine, when I open it up and I look at my screen time, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I spend that many hours on that app? Where did that time go? So what I want you to think about here is, research shows that the average human has 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. How many of you have more than that? How many of you have less than that? 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. But here's the interesting part. Research shows that 80% of those thoughts are negative and repetitive. Let me show you how that goes. You wake up in the morning and the first thought you have is, oh, I'm so tired. How many of you have ever felt that? How many of you felt that today? Right? You wake up and the first thing, I get this too, you wake up and you go, oh, I'm so tired. First time you had that thought. You make it to 9 a.m., you're having your morning coffee, you're looking at the time and you go, how is it only 9 a.m.? I'm so tired. You've had that thought twice. Now you make it through to midday. Lunch is going to have to be late today because you've got so much work, so many tasks to work on. You're like, oh, I'm so tired. How is it only the middle of the day? Finally, you make it to 6 p.m. and you go, God, I still have to work 2 more hours. I am so tired. And then somehow at 11:37 p.m. at night, you click next episode. Right? You get the strength and courage from somewhere to do that. But that spiral repeats. You can keep saying you're so tired for 7 days in a row, and that thought never gets replaced. That thought never gets solved. And what that does is it creates a cycle in your mind of negative, repetitive thoughts. And that I'm tired goes down to I'm exhausted to I'm burnt out. And it's a really, really quick slope, right? It's a really, really quick decline. From I'm tired to I'm exhausted to I'm burnt out. And we want to avoid that. I don't want any of you to be burnt out. I don't want any of my friends and family to experience burnout. I don't want any of you to experience burnout. But if we don't catch it in that moment, it's so easy for that to happen. So how do we change that? We change that by mastering our first and last thought of the day. You can't change 60 to 80,000 thoughts. That would be ridiculous. But you can change your first thought of the day and your last thought of the day. So if you consciously design and choose your first thought of the day and your last thought of the day, it can transform the thoughts in between. So now instead of your first thought being, I'm so tired, it could be reading your favorite quote. It could be waking up to your favorite song. It could be reading a paragraph from your favorite book. It could be listening to an excerpt or a podcast or a speech that really empowers you. At one point in my life, I listened to Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement speech every single day for 9 months. And not only did I know all the words off by heart after 9 months, I can honestly say the words impacted my heart after 9 months. The repetition of an idea is so powerful, and we're doing it anyway, but we're doing the negative side. I had the fortune of sitting down with Matthew McConaughey on my podcast quite a few times, and the first time I spoke to him, I said to him, I love his Oscars acceptance speech. And if you've never heard it, go and YouTube it after this. It's 5 minutes long. And I listened to that speech every day for 30 days. It's 5 minutes, that's all it is. But I found that when I woke up and I listened to that, it reset my mindset. It shifted the way I thought. It gave me the inspiration that I need. Rather than me waking up and saying, I'm so tired, today's going to be a rough day, I'm not looking forward to that meeting, I was set up to win. So many of us are coding our brains at night and in the morning to lose. We're literally coding ourselves to lose by our thoughts. So I want you to think about what is the most repetitive thought you have, and how can you substitute a new thought for the first thought of the day and the last thought of the day that's empowering, that builds you up, that uplifts you. So that's inspiration. Now, M and E and S. M stands for meditation or mindfulness. And maybe some of you have practiced, how many of you practice meditation or mindfulness on a daily basis? Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a lot of you, that's awesome. For a lot of you, how many of you fell asleep the first time you tried meditation and mindfulness? Right, okay, a lot of people do that too. By the way, if you fall asleep when you practice meditation and mindfulness, that is literally your body telling you need sleep. It's actually not a bad thing at all, because you're allowing your body and mind to do what it actually needs to do, because you're being present with your body and mind. So how do you practice meditation and mindfulness in your busy lives? The number one thing is, Jay, I have no time. I don't know how I'm going to make time for something like that. How does it work? I have something really simple for you. I want you to put in your calendar for 5 minutes at the beginning of the day and 5 minutes at the end of the day for you to just sit with yourself. See, we have meetings every single day with clients, with family, with friends. We check in with your kids, you check in with your partner, you check in with your boss, but we never check in with ourselves. And meditation and mindfulness in its simplest form is checking in with yourself. Checking in and going, how am I doing today? What do I need today? What would make today a great day for me? What is it that I can do? Right, just that check-in for 5 minutes, and if it's in your calendar, you'll do it. Right, we all do what's in our calendars. You don't generally cancel something that's in there, but we forget about things that don't make it in there. So that's meditation and mindfulness, just 5 minutes at the beginning and end of every day, checking in with yourself and saying, how am I doing? How am I feeling? What do I need? So thankfulness, inspiration, mindfulness, and the E stands for exercise. We all know we need to move more, but we all struggle with it. And one of the simplest ways that I found to build movement into my day is that I've stopped setting 60-minute and 30-minute meetings. I have no idea who came up with that system. I don't know why we started to have 30-minute meetings or 60-minute. My meetings are now 25 minutes or 55 minutes. And the beauty of that is you get these 5 minutes back every half hour or every hour, and those 5 minutes can be put to good use. And here's what I do with those 5 minutes.